It's the Valentine Rendezvous. Valentine Rendezvous. Enjoy a special dinner with your partner or walk in solo and celebrate love your way. And singles get to pay 450 Ghana cedis and couples would pay 800 Ghana cedis. So Nathan has paid 1,500 for both days. So if you want to be there on 13th and on the 14th as well, then you get to pay 1,500 Ghana cedis only. Looking for a full romantic escape? Indulge in timeless romance, a relaxed Valentine getaway made for couples from the 13th to 14th February. 3,000 Ghana cedis for a night and 5,499 Ghana cedis for a 2-night stay. So if you're looking for a romantic escape, then Central Hotel have a fantastic package for you from the 13th to the 14th of February 2026. Now, you get to pay 3,000 Ghana cedis for a night, or you get to pay 5,499 Ghana cedis for a 2-night stay. That should be an exciting one for you. And of course, Nathan has paid for that as well. Bringing his total spend this month at Central Hotel to 6,000 Ghana cedis. That's nice. For a very, you see, so for a super treat for you and your partner, just 6,000 cedis is okay. Nathan, just 6K. You pay for the 2-night stay, and then you pay for the 2 days of wine and sacks, and Nathan, you get me? You feel me? I mean, it's so in fact, if you don't have plans for the Valentines, please reserve today. Let me give you the number to call: 027-530-5054, 027-530-5054, or 054-773-6516, 054-773-6516. Central Hotel, where love meets luxury. So Nathan, it's two things. It's two things here. You either pay for a single entry, where you go and sit down and enjoy yourself, or you pay for two.
Yes.
800 cedis.
Yes. Singles 450.
Yes. If you want both days, you pay 1,500.
Thank you.
Now, if you want an escape, you want to run away from home.
You want to run up.
You want to run away from home, have your quiet time, no babies disturbing you, no kids, no daddy, mommy matters. Just go back to Central Hotel. Pay 3,000 Ghana cedis for a night.
Yep.
Or pay 5,499 for a 2-night stay. That's all. That's all. And Central Hotel will give you luxury. So Central Hotel, where love meets luxury. Now, Nathan, there's a lot we'll be talking about on the show this morning. Kumasi, Asante Kotoko and matters are rising as they prepare to face Accra Hearts of Folk on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we'll be talking about Ghana boxing as well, because there's a little matter of the interim management committee, the Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee. They have a mandate extension.
Okay.
We'll get into all of that this morning. Last week, I went a bit hard on them for staying in office for a bit too long.
That's true.
And also for not speaking to the public or speaking to the stakeholders with regards to what they plan to do whilst they still hang on to power. Now, there's a bit of update we'll be giving listeners this morning on the show. And then we'll get into matters of the English Premier League. A lot has been happening. Arsenal play Brentford tonight, but they would have to win that game to ensure that they open a 6-point lead. And then there's a little matter of two managers who replaced Ange Postecoglou getting sacked almost on the same day. So, Sean Dice, he replaced Ange Postecoglou at Nottingham Forest. He's been sacked. And you have our good friend, Thomas Frank, who also replaced Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham Hotspur, also getting sacked. So don't take. So the message is simple: don't replace Ange Postecoglou anywhere.
You get sacked.
You get sacked. So Arsenal will play Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium. It's a stadium Nathan knows very, very well. He's been there a couple of times. And, I've not been there, but I always see it, across the street. So when you're on the motorway, you get to see it across.
The G-Tech?
Yeah, the G-Tech.
Yes.
You get to see it.
So I remember the second day of the Unity Cup.
Yeah.
This was when Ghana played Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at... I turned on the map, right?
Yeah.
And because the first day, so this is a very interesting story. The night I arrived, that was the day Jamaica and TNT played.
Yeah.
So I think where did I go from? From airport to my Airbnb, put my things together. And I'll tell you a funny story. So in the midst of everything, Ray, can you believe that when I landed at Heathrow, in the midst of all the things I left one bag at Heathrow.
Oh, Nathan, you were in a hurry to enter the town. No, I mean you had taken a bit of time.
Yeah, it had taken me. Because of transit and all.
Yeah.
So I guess mentally I was tired. So I left it. Then I get to my Airbnb. Charlie, I'm looking for. I said, oh, I can't find this bag. Days after, so I did a few Google searches and I noticed that Heathrow had this database of lost and found.
Okay.
And then luckily I found my bag in the database.
Of course you would.
Charlie, systems that work. So I called, a friend of mine, Chorus, shout outs to you, Chorus. He's a mate of mine from Accra Academy and he's in London. So he was of great help. Right, helped me get an Uber from the airport to the Airbnb. So he came to visit me, and so I was giving him updates. Charlie, I can't find my bag. He was the one who even guided me that look, it looks like there's a lost and found, so follow. Yeah. And then I told him that, oh, Charlie, it looks like my bag is at a lost and found, but the SIM card I had with the SIM card, I couldn't place calls.
Yeah.
So he came to visit me, and then I called using his SIM card. I explained everything, and the attendant said, okay, from your description, it looks like we have a bag that matches the thing, but you have to come down and pick it up. But anyway, so that's just for context. So the night I went to the G-Tech for the first time, on my way back, it was around 11 p.m. I said, hey, what do I do? Then I entered my location from the G-Tech. They said it was like 15 minutes. So I decided to walk. Charlie,
my brother, you want to...
It was like 11 p.m. Like, I was still quite rattled because I couldn't find my bag. So I was in a very terrible headspace. Yeah. I said, let me just walk it off.
No, so you wanted to walk from G-Tech?
Yeah, to my Airbnb. It was like 15 minutes.
Hey, Nathan.
So I followed the map. Charlie, here I was looking at the phone.
You're following the dots.
Following the dots. And it finally took me to my Airbnb. I said, oh. So the next day, I said, oh, I'll walk back the same way. So I didn't use exactly the same routes. I used a different routes now, but this was by the main road.
Yeah.
So when you said, you can see, it's true. When you are on this other side of on the M4, very good. Yeah. So if you're on one side of the M4, you see the G-Tech.
Yeah.
So I was on this other side, followed and then I got in there. So then the adventures of
on that M4, you see Audi. You see a lot of cars.
Oh yes. Good. It's true. I took some pictures. So there's the Audi dealership. Yeah. There was a Mercedes dealership.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a chain of
dealerships. Yeah. And I was wondering, but why have they stationed all these car dealerships?
That's like ours at Kanesi. That's just a bit of, that's just a bit of, experience for our listeners out there, Now, Nathan, let's start off with the boxing updates. So let me just do the updates and then we'll get into Ghana Premier League matters. And so Nathan, the first story that came out was the release from the National Sports Authority. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the National Sports Authority on February 4, 2026, sent a letter to the chairman of the Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee.
Okay.
And this is what the letter says. Extension of Ghana Boxing IMC mandate. Following extensive deliberations between the National Sports Authority and the Ministry of Sports and Recreation on the operational deliverables and schedules submitted by the Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee, approval is hereby granted for the extension of the committee's mandate as follows. 1. Stated reforms, February to April 2026. 2. Election calendar, May to June 2026. Let us take note of these two dates.
Okay.
Stated reforms, February to April 2026.
February to April 2026.
And then elections calendar, May to June 2026.
Okay, so February to April, what will be happening?
Stated reforms. So, from this letter, you get to realize that the interim management committee made proposals whilst requesting for more time.
Mm-hmm.
So in that proposal, you'd figure that they have identified some areas where reforms have to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So it will take them between February and April to properly implement or get stakeholder buy-in for those reforms.
Okay.
Then, 2, elections calendar, May to June. So between May and June 2026, there should be a roadmap for the elections, and then elections will be conducted for a new Ghana Boxing Authority to take office. Now, this extension is intended to enable the GBIMC to finalize outstanding governance reforms, complete constitutional reviews, strengthen regulatory oversight, and oversee transparent elections for the Ghana Boxing Authority.
Okay.
It also provides the framework for consolidating gains in athlete welfare, including the rollout of insurance and medical schemes, as well as the introduction of digital systems to enhance accountability and transparency. The NSA commends the committee for its efforts thus far and urges continued collaboration with all stakeholders to safeguard the future of professional boxing in Ghana. Signed, Yao Ankra, Director General, National Sports Authority. So, Nathan, it's clear. They would finalize their work. Some of the areas they'll look at would be outstanding governance reforms, complete constitutional reviews, so the constitution will be reviewed, strengthen regulatory oversight, so they would look at a few things with regards to their regulations and who has oversight, and then they'll see to organize a transparent election for the Ghana Boxing Authority. Now, Nathan, after that release, the GBIMC also brought out their statement on the 6th of February 2026. And let me get into a bit of that as well.
Sporty.
The Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee set to complete critical work with an extension leading to elections. Now, the Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee, inaugurated on the 29th of September 2025, has restored professional boxing in Ghana.
Okay.
Following its suspension. In recent months, the committee has introduced strict medical and anti-doping protocols, secured athlete insurance partnerships, and also delivered major events, including the Takwa Boxing Explosion, Legacy Rise Showdown, Battle of Baglaja.
Battle of what?
Battle of Baglaja. Kabig Big Fight Night, RBS Boxing Masterpiece, and the Best of Bukum Part 2, all under enhanced safety standards. And the one I like is the Battle of Baglaja. You know what Baglaja means?
I heard that in Ewe it means cockroach. Is it true?
That is what it means. Battle of Baglaja. Okay. Now, to ensure accountability, the GBIMC submitted a detailed progress report to the Minister of Sports and Recreation and the Director General of the National Sports Authority, alongside a formal request for an extension of its mandate. So, Nathan, you see where it's coming from. They submitted a report to the NSC and the Sports Ministry.
Yes.
Asking for an extension.
Okay.
The extension, granted with clear guidelines, will allow the committee to complete reforms and prepare for transparent elections. And then it again mentions the stated reforms from February to April, and then elections calendar from May to June. In the course of its work, the GBIMC has engaged stakeholders across the boxing fraternity, culminating in a major meeting on 18 December 2025 to address governance, legal, and operational and safety challenges. Outstanding reforms to be conducted under the extended tenure includes reviewing licensing standards and disciplinary codes, establishing the Independent Medical Commission and rolling out medical and anti-doping protocols, rolling out a digital health database and administrative portal, conducting orientation, training workshop and certification programs, strengthening regulatory oversight, expand insurance and medical schemes, finalize constitutional reforms, and oversee credible elections. A stakeholder meeting followed by a press briefing will be held to outline the next steps. The committee calls on all stakeholders to consolidate the gains made so far to safeguard the future of professional boxing in Ghana. Signed, Samuel Captain, Chairman of the Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee. So, Nathan, this is what we have for listeners as far as issues concerning professional boxing in Ghana is concerned. And following that, the GBIMC yesterday, or a few days ago, the 10th of February, invited all stakeholders, all boxing stakeholders, their heads, to a meeting at the Accra Sports Stadium. So I'm sure, hopefully, when we get to speak to the stakeholders, they'll bring us up to speed on a bit of what has happened there. So we are told that Alex Ntiama, he will be joining us in studio, so we get into a bit of this matter on the show. So Nathan, it's not as if the GBIMC have been sleeping on the job. According to them, they've been putting in the work. So, we'll see how things pan out. When we speak to Alex Ntiama, I'm sure we'll get to understand a bit of what went on with regards to the meeting they had with the GBIMC, and then we'll get into a few other matters. But it's a good time to get into the Kotoko issues. Kotoko have lots of issues. And yesterday, according to reports, a few individuals stormed their training ground of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, demanding, calling for the head of the interim coach, Prince Owusu. According to reports, they are not happy that Karim Zito has left and he's still at post. And so, and so we'll get into a bit of that. But Michael Asarabud is on the line. Michael Asarabud is joining us from 91.3 FM, Sporty 91.3 FM in Kumasi. Michael, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Raymond.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I trust you are too.
You have a taekwondo session this morning?
Well, his outfit looks like the taekwondo kimono.
I don't know life, Tessa.
Oh no, I'm just asking. It's a harmless question.
Have you ever seen the taekwondo gi in red before?
Oh, but he has a red belt.
He has a red belt.
But it's not a full sleeve.
Yeah, Michael, good to have you on the show. Today you're not wearing the dark one today. The dark chinchi.
The rockstar shade.
Yeah.
I left it in the car. No, it's just an extra layer. It's the same
okay.
glasses. So it's the same. Yeah. So it's just an extra layer. You just add it for more shade.
More shade.
Do you have some more attire left? Or you've consumed what you brought from Morocco?
All of it is gone.
well, Michael, good to have you on the show. Now let's talk about yesterday and what happened at Adako Jachi. That's the name, right?
Adako Jachi.
According to reports, and your very good friend Michael Akomia reported yesterday that 3 macho men stormed the training ground of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, demanding the head of Prince Owusu, and they had to take the intervention of the IMC to restore order. Bring us up to speed on that particular development.
Okay, so thank you very much, Raymond. So for clarity, there were not 3 macho men. There were about 7 men, some on motorbikes, angrily storming the training grounds of Asante Kotoko, Adako Jachi. And their mission was simple. They had come to remove the coach, Prince Owusu, from the training session and also from the facility. Initially, it was a bit intense, but eventually calm was restored, and then the coach and the training session proceeded. So yes, there was a development like that, I don't know if it is fit to call them macho men, but what I can say is that they were heavily built men, numbering around 7, and some came on motorbikes, and they just came to display their anger towards the coach. They feel that if Karim Zito has left, and Zito left for reasons that relates to Asante Kotoko not having a good form, performances and results have not been the best, then they feel that Prince Owusu, who was also an assistant coach, is a contributory factor to everything that Zito was blamed for. And as such, if Zito was leaving, then he should also leave. You remember I mentioned this yesterday during the conversation that we had in the morning, that a section of the fans feel that Prince Owusu should also leave. And some have even tagged him as a backstabber because he was actually sabotaging Zito, whether directly or indirectly. His actions or inactions, to some extent, sabotage the head coach during his time. And they feel that he's not someone who is fit enough to lead the club, especially into a game against Accra as a folk. And the best thing that they can do is to vent their displeasure at his upgrading from the assistant coach to the head coach. And then yesterday they decided to get physical with their intention, and that is exactly what happened. But it took the intervention of the IMC chair, Nana Penkra, and some other key members of the club to restore calm, and eventually it looks like an agreement was reached and the training session proceeded. I was not particularly there, but I have had eyewitness accounts regarding this, and some players of the team confirmed to me yesterday in private conversations. Unfortunately, I can't name names, but I've spoken to like 3 people, one an eyewitness and then 2 members of the playing body, and they confirmed this particular incident.
Now, Michael, the players, how are they taking all of this? Post the sacking of Karim Zito, Prince Owusu taking over, how are they responding to the changes?
As professionals, on Monday, Tuesday, they just came, did their training, and they were done. Focus is on the game. The club has been actively pushing the game on social media. They've done a lot of creative work with these players. They've staged scenes that depict players and treating fans to come and watch, and also talking about the game and how ready they are for it. Yesterday, there was a video that came out with Kwame Poku, Peter Amiduakwa, and then the captain Sambo O'Neill, and they were speaking right about the game, and it was very creative. This morning, they've also released another video. So the players, I can say for a fact, are focused on preparing for the game, but these occurrences seems to be a distraction that is needless. Yesterday, when I was taking the accounts from these players, they were very shocked that something like this had to happen, and the year is 2026. So as far advanced as we are, and then these developments still have to happen, and it grabs the headlines, they feel that it is something that shouldn't have happened. And so they are disappointed, but I don't think it would distract them from the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is to prepare for the game against Accra as a folk. I understand to some extent why certain elements of the Asante Kotoko communications team, and even some members who are close to management, decided to deny that something like this happened. I've seen a post from Nida Akon. I have also, initially when I posted on Facebook, I've had certain members come and then deny what happened. And I understand it. It is just to make sure that attention does not sway from the game to this occurrence. But in the attempt to make sure that focus is maintained on the super clash with Accra as a folk, trying to kill this story by flatly denying these media reports invites more scrutiny. And I think the best thing they could have done was to rally all the responsible sports heads of the various radio stations and the TV stations in Kumasi, and then just engage them. Yes, it happened, but how do we manage this information? And I think that would have been the best. But trying to flatly deny it on social media just invites more scrutiny on the matter, and the media will be forced to come out with what they have regarding this, and it will not really achieve the desired result. Because I know for a fact a certain media house has videos regarding what happened yesterday. And the more these people continue to deny, I want to believe that they will come out with these videos. The only reason they've not published the video yet is because they feel when it comes out, it will definitely affect the promo and everything that is geared towards the Super Clash, and they've held on. But I'm telling you, when the House of Folk game is completed, and especially when Kotoko do not win, then expect more videos regarding this.
Now, Michael, these 7 men you're talking about, who are they? Are they people that are very close to the club, or are they people who are close to the factions we believe exist within that whole Kotoko space?
That is not what we've been able to decode yet. And they spoke in Hausa per the eyewitness account, and also from what some of the players told me, they spoke in Hausa. And clearly, one will struggle to tell where they belong. You can't tell whether they have been sent from this party or this section or this faction. You can't actually say for a fact. But what I can say is that maybe they are disturbed as Asante Kotoko fans and they decided to vent their fury or make their displeasure known. That is what I can say for a fact. But wherever they belong, no one can tell as it stands yet. But there have been allegations regarding who actually sent them. Some have looked at the National Supporters Chairman, Solomon Ofosuware. Some have blamed him that he's actually the one responsible for this. But from those in his camp, they flatly deny this. And checking by how Solomon Ofosuware operates, I think if he had any reservations about Prince Owusu and it escalated to that level, I think he would have personally done it. He would have come to the training grounds to make his displeasure known. And I don't think he would have sent these people to come and do what they did. So nobody knows who sent them. But yes, allegations are flying in. And as I said, they have been denied by the quarters that the allegations have been aimed at.
Now, Michael, I've picked intel from Kumasi, and what I've picked up suggests that this IMC, this current IMC, are under pressure to deliver before the end of the season. Failure to do so would result in they being sacked at the end of the season. Can you confirm that? Are there reports around town that this IMC may not see next season, depending on how the season ends, whether they are successful or not? This could be the last time we see them in charge.
Well, what you just narrated is a possibility. And in that, at the end of every season, the IMC presents a report to Menchia, and the reports entail the financial account of the team, the football account of the team as well, plus other developments that happened in the course of the season. They will submit this report to Menchia, and Menchia would have to sanction it. And then they will have to give the green or the go-ahead or the green light for the new season to commence under the same body. So it is Menchia that constituted the IMC, and this development has played out at the end of every season. Now, what has led to many speculating that this could signal, developments that have happened could signal the end of the IMC is that they were given a task within the past 2-3 seasons. It was about winning the league and also winning trophies and going to Africa. I will say that last season was a successful one contextually. Yes, they failed to win the league, but they won the FA Cup, went into the CAF Confederation Cup, and that was a positive one. Now, this season as it stands, looking at what has happened so far, it is not just about the sacking of Zito, because last season, they sacked Prosper Natilgum and Zito came on board. So sacking coaches does not necessarily signal the beginning of the end of the IMC, but it's about how they've managed things. Player indiscipline seems to have gone off the roof. Issues that borders on players importing aliens into camp, whether home or away, has actually reached Menchia, because whatever thing that comes to the media limelight, the king also has a lot of people who whisper a lot of things to those close to him. And so he knows every development. At a particular meeting, he said that pin crap from to it, even when a pin drops, I hear it from Menchia. So clearly, he knows developments around the team. And when the IMC submit their report to him and he studies it, it will then inform the way forward, whether he continues with the IMC or he disbands it, and then they compose a new management team, or to an extent, even a board to run Asante Kotoko. So these are the developments around it. If Kotoko end the season trophyless, then it definitely jeopardizes the chance of the IMC continuing. And if they are not able to salvage some parts of this season, then it would also signal their end. So yes, what you said is a possibility that the IMC will not continue, judging by the decisions that they take. And whatever decision they take regarding who becomes the next coach is also crucial. There have been names that have been thrown around. Even the former Wow Stars Karela United coach, Enos Adepa, has been mentioned as a likely candidate who will be installed as an interim boss to play the Accra as a folk match. So a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and it all depends on how the IMC handles it. And I say, if they fail to do it or handle these situations properly, it definitely affects their chances of maintaining their role for next season at Asante Kotoko.
Michael, Nathan here. When you look at the rest of the season, what's there to play for? The MTN FA Cup is gone. Mediama are a chasm away from Asante Kotoko in terms of the points build-up. So what could potentially save this IMC, and what will Kotoko classify as success at the end of the season? I'm struggling to understand, but maybe you have an answer. You know, what can save this IMC potentially?
In terms of winning laurels, yes, their chances are very remote. As you mentioned, Mediama with an 8-point lead, and they look unbeatable. They've been the most consistent team in the Ghana Premier League this season. We've played 21 match weeks. Mediama has been top of the table for 17 of those 21 match weeks. It just speaks volumes of their consistency. For Asante Kotoko, they are just hoping on hope that something miraculous will happen. All of a sudden, Mediama starts to drop points, and in the hope that they will also win all their matches, which looks very, very much unlikely, looking at the current state of the team. So, yes, the only thing they can cling on to now is hope. And hope would not be enough to win them anything. But in terms of salvaging the season, what has plagued Asante Kotoko this term is not just tied to winning trophies or whatever. The issues of player indiscipline and everything. Everyone is just quiet observing how the IMC manages this situation. As I said, Menchia knows every player who has misbehaved so far this campaign. And they are just looking at the IMC in terms of how they will react to try and then curb this situation so that it does not reoccur next season. Because last season, traits of these issues of indiscipline happened. Justice Blake complained about it. He was sacked from the club, and is eating into this season. Even new players who just joined have also joined these indisciplinary acts. So clearly, yes, they are well documented, and Menchia is very much aware of this. And so the IMC will need to deal with all these issues, and they are clearly managerial issues. They are management issues. Nobody can tell me that is a responsibility of the coach. It's a responsibility of the management. And so they would have to deal with it. And they have now to the end of the season to find out a solution that is long-lasting. And these are the issues or the developments that Menchia will be observing. And when they do submit their report, and then the Menchia sees that there is a potential for growth, definitely they will allow them to continue, even if they do not win anything.
Right.
In the first season of Ogum, they did not win anything. They did not win the FA Cup. They did not win the league, but they were allowed to continue by virtue of the potential. But now, if there is not enough promise when they submit their report, I dare say that they will not be allowed to continue.
Now, Michael, last time we heard Nana Aprinkra speak, he made certain comments. He said, if the team fails to win the FA Cup and possibly the Hearts of Oak game, a lot of things were going to happen. Management, coaching, players, those were his words. Do you get the feeling that if Kotoko failed to beat Hearts this weekend, they could even be kicked out before the end of the season.
In terms of the IMC,
yes.
No. What he actually meant was that if they fail to win against Aduana and Hasselhoff, then the coach will be fired.
Okay.
Zito knew about this. Already he felt he was not protected enough. He felt that the club was not speaking with one voice, because what he says is different from what the IMC chairman also says. And before that particular engagement at the training grounds, the IMC chairman had met with a section of the fans at the National House of Chiefs, and then he has said that Coach Nekrano ya catch and says Neoma Sesa Obetimi Elusine Juma to it. We have informed the coach that if results do not improve, he will likely lose his job. And Zito felt very disrespected by those comments, and he felt that was very unfair on the part of the IMC chair to go say such things, because everything that was happening at the club then could not just be tied to coaching non-performance. There were also other developments that had sabotaged the fortunes of the team on the field of play. Management decisions that had not really gone well with the playing body. For instance, that decision to sell Albert Amoa just in the wake of that elimination from the Confederation Cup against Wydad Casablanca. Albert Amoa by then was arguably the best striker in the Ghana Premier League. And so the decision to sell him without bringing on board any adequate replacement, and at the same time, it was when the others, including Kwame Poku and some other attackers in the team, were out injured, it sabotaged the team, because before Albert Amoa was sold, Kotoko was on a very good run. They were only unbeaten team remaining in the Ghana Premier League, and then they were in the top 2 positions of the Ghana Premier League table. So you saw their best player without any replacement, and then you expect the coaches to work miracles. Unfortunately, the coaching department did not take it lightly. Again, Zito himself was a man who was looking above his shoulder during his time at Asante Kotoko as the head coach. Remember that he initially came on board as a technical director, and during that time he was okay with the kind of people that he worked with, because he knew that acting in a capacity as a coach was only on an interim basis, and very soon when they do appoint a substantive coach, he will just have to concentrate on his technical director role. Then his role was changed to the head coach, and that was when the issues started to happen. He felt that as the head coach, he should have been given some kind of authority to compose his own technical team, but he was not allowed that. It can be said that almost all elements of the technical team constituted by Asante Kotoko were not those that Zito recommended or advocated for. The only exception here will be Hamza Obeng. Prince Owusu was not Zito's recommendation. He came on the recommendation of some members of Asante Kotoko, with some even being IMC members. So clearly, he did not really trust the structure that he was working with or the system that he was operating in, but he kept his cool and then he did his work. So when those statements started coming out from the IMC chair, he felt that he was not safe. Again, right after that engagement at the Adakojachi training grounds, Zito was also told privately by some people that the club's IMC had taken a decision to fire him. And so during that meeting, Zito went with his decision already made. He felt he was not protected enough, and he felt he was disrespected. And in fact, when the IMC met him, they presented 3 options. Zito wins the House of Folk game, or he be fired, or he steps aside for the House of Folk game so that they will play that match without him, or he resigns in peace. And he felt that those options presented to him again fed into the narrative that he was being disrespected and not regarded that much. And that is how come he decided to resign from his position. So the IMC and everything that they have done, to some extent, has not been perfect. And it is one of the reasons Asante Kotoko is where they are. And now they are under intense pressure to try and then salvage their season. I don't know how they do it, but whatever steps they do take now will be geared towards, one, making sure they are able to draw some level of confidence from Menchia to allow them to continue, or they will write a bad script about themselves, and then they will not be trusted to continue next season with the club.
Now, Michael, talking about coaching, what are the names we are hearing around this Kotoko job? Are there, some big names? Are they thinking of going for a foreign coach, or they'll stick to some of the local boys on already doing well in the Ghana Premier League? What's the plan for the next coach?
I mentioned last week that they have received a lot of proposals. What I can speak to, as at the last time I had such conversation, was that almost 15 proposals have been received from interested coaches and other agencies who represent some coaches. So some coaches have offered to do the job directly, and some have had agencies representing them put in a word or two for them regarding their interest. So that has happened. Now, the names that are in the limelight for the immediate, Enos Adepa, former Wild Stars, former Karela United head coach, he has been mentioned as someone that they can bring on board on the interim to do the job for the club, maybe till the end of the season, just to gauge how he can help. And then if he does impress, you'll be allowed to continue from there, depending on the fate of the IMC themselves. That aside, Maswa Kunedu has also been mentioned, but there was a reason Maswa Kunedu was not so interested in the BBN Gold Stars gig. Initially, he had agreed terms with them, but he felt the timing was not right. He believed that if he had to take charge of Gold Stars, then he would need to take the team through a period of pre-season and not in the middle of a season. And I doubt if he will want to come to Asante Kotoko now, judging by the same situation. So Maswe Kunedu's name is also in the picture. There has been mentions of CK Akono returning to the club, but from what I've heard from the camp of CK, yes, he's interested in the job, but he will want to focus on Gor Mahia and what becomes of them in the ongoing season in Kenya. And so if CK would consider returning to Kotoko, it will only be after the end of this campaign with Gor Mahia in the Kenyan Premier League. And so some names have been mentioned, but these are the three names that are dominating in terms of those interested. Some agencies representing the former Sweden All Blacks coach from Egypt put in a word for him, but a section of the management team killed that agenda, and it did not get Ghana enough traction to be taken much seriously. And so we don't know what will happen next, but the more likely person to be named if they want to make changes in the immediate will be Enos Adepa to take charge of the House of Folk game, and then subsequently in matches that Asante Kotoko will play. But let's see what happens, because Enos Adepa is also not too popular within the Kotoko circles, because a lot of the supporters leaders are not in support of that arrangement, and even some members of the IMC are not in support of that arrangement, and that is how come it has not become so public. So they just put the name out there to test how the reaction will be. I have serious doubts. Let me say this. I have serious doubt that they will continue further by putting a name out there as a serious candidate to take over. But if it does happen, I will not be surprised, because after all, this is Asante Kotoko, Drama FC.
Right. Michael, we'll be keeping an eye on that Kotoko story. We'll be keeping an eye on developments around Kotoko. The IMC, the coaching job, everything that happens around the club. We'll be keeping an eye on it, and we'll be bringing the listeners up to speed on every single development from the Porcupine Warriors. But before we draw the curtain down on this matter, what are the supporters saying? How are they taking all of this? Are they satisfied with the decision Karim Zito took? Are they satisfied with how this IMC has managed the club all these months, all these years? What's the position of the supporters on all of this?
Well, the supporters are divided. There are some who feel Zito leaving or Zito exiting is the best thing that could happen, judging by the situation the club found itself in. The others who also believe that yes, Zito has left, but there are still elements of the coaching team that should also be sacked, including Prince Owusu. Some have even dared say he is, quote unquote, a Konkonsa coach, and they don't like him to continue as the helmsman. So that is another side. Then a section of the fans also feel that whatever happens should not just be restricted to just a coaching problem. They feel the IMC too has not done well, and they will need to see the back of the IMC in all this. So there is that division among the supporters in terms of their reaction towards whatever thing has happened. And they've been very unforgiving of the players too. I think the player who has been blamed the most for the current situation of the club is Kwame Opoku, especially for his penalty miss. A lot of the fans have actually hurled abuse at him, and I don't know how he's taken it, but he will be very much affected by this. A lot of them have abused him. Some have said they will not show up to watch the Hasselhoff game, and what the club has done is that they will engage in PR. They are using some former players to try and then win some of the fans over to change their mind and then show up on Sunday to watch the game against Accra Hasselhoff. So let's see what happens. But they've brought out the rate for the house match. It's 50-50 cities for the popular stand in the center line and 100 cities for the VIP. But I don't know the reaction that will come from the fans regarding this. A few of them have seen comment on the club's post on social media are very much positive about the game, and they have said that they will come and support them, but they have given them just one last chance to impress. If they fail, then they will wash their hands of the team for this season. So let's see. But the fans are divided regarding developments that have unraveled around the club so far.
Well, it looks like it's a very interesting time at Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Michael, thank you so much. We'll catch up later. Tomorrow we'll do a proper build-up to the Super Clash this weekend. We'll speak again soon. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Bye-bye.
Oh, wonderful. That was Michael Asaribwede joining us from Kumasi, giving us the lowdown. As he rightly put it, Drama FC. Okay, so what? We should keep Michael on? All right, Michael, we said bye, but it looks like we have to keep you on. So apologies. We withdraw the bye-bye. We'll keep you on to talk a bit about stuff that happened last night in the Premier League. But this is still the Sporty Breakfast. Okay, we'll bring Michael back a little later to talk about the things that happened last night in the Premier League. But let's stay with the Super Clash because we'll get into the numbers parts, the statistics, the data, trends and patterns, what they say. This is still the Sporty Breakfast. You can send in your comments 054 257 1061 054 257 1061 054 257 1061. This is the Sporty Breakfast on Sporty FM. My name is Nathan Kyle. Raymond Yamado is here. Mo Shaban has joined us in studio. We're about to jump into the numbers.
And if you are not doing the kakalika dance this morning, then you are not listening to Sporty Breakfast. Come and see Immortal Ejakwa Champion doing the kakalika dance. Nathan, do you know how to do kakalika? Do you know how to do kakalika? Do you know how to do kakalika?
No.
Abigail, can you do kakalika? Oh, this kakalika. We have to bring down God to come and lead the kakalika.
Yes.
Most of them, can you do kakalika?
We'll do that.
I'm sure this weekend whoever scores a goal will be doing kakalika. But it's a good time to get into the discussion around the Ghana Premier League. Like Nathan said, we'll be getting into the numbers. How many times both teams have played, who currently leads in terms of the head-to-head, and every other thing concerning Accra Hearts of Folk versus Kumasi Asante Kotoko clashes we'll be getting into right about now. And I'm joined in studio by Mo Shaban. Mo Shaban is a Ghana Premier League expert, and he is a Ghana football statistician. So when we talk about, Ghana Statistical Service and the prof, we also have Mo Shaban.
Yes,
we also have a Mo
football's
Shaban.
response.
That's right.
To Professor Enin.
Yeah, to government statistician. Yeah, so Mo
Shaban is the football.
Yeah, it's a football statistician. Mo, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning.
It's good to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here this morning.
Great. Nathan, this tie would be the 120th tie of league meeting between Hearts and Kotoko.
120.
Yeah, so we've seen 119 already. But Mo Shaban would get into the numbers for us. But so Mo, let's get into let's start from the head-to-head. Okay, let's start from the head-to-head. So, both teams and their meetings in recent times, what do you have for us on that?
Well, so we have a lot of data to talk about today, and we are building up to the Sunday's Super Clash, like you said. Sunday will be 120th league clash between Kotoko and Hearts since 1958, and 1993-94 professional league, and it's been so competitive between those two teams. But then this is the total figures between these two teams: 119, and Kotoko dominate with 41 wins, and Hartford 38. And clearly, if Kotoko should win this time, they are going to extend their win to 42, and currently 38 and 39, 40, 41. That's 3 wins difference. And again, if Hartford should win, they are going to now close the gap to 2 wins difference. And this game is so important to Hartford in closing the gap. And if Kotoko wants to extend their lead on top, they would also have to win this game. And of course, if you look at Kotoko's performance in recent years against Hartford, they've been very dominant, and especially the last 2 seasons, Hartford are winless against Kotoko. The last 2 seasons, their meetings, Kotoko have won 4 of their last 5 games against Hartford, and that tells you that in terms of performance, it is a big advantage for
Sporty.
I want us to look at this statistics. This is the last 15 meetings between Kotoko and Hartford, and I want you to look at the pattern. There's this clear pattern between Kotoko and Hartford, and it is either 1-0, 1-1, or 0-0. We had only one odd season, and that one odd season is the 2023-24. You know what happened here? All matches were played at the Barbara Sports Stadium, and it changed the narrative of the game. Now, in 2016, let's go through, and you get to understand the pattern. 2016 to 2025-26 or 2024-25.
So that in the last 10 years.
Yes. So apart from that odd season, one season would have to, one of the legs would have to end in a draw, and one leg would have to go in favor of a team. So this is a 2016 1-0 for Kotoko, the second leg 1-1. 2017 1-0 for Hartford, the next leg 1-1. 2020-21 0-0, and then Hartford 1-1-0. 2021-22 0-0, and then Kotoko 1-1-0. 2022-23 1-1, and Hartford 1-1-0. 2023-24, like I said, it's a special season. Kotoko won both home and away, and even with the scoreline, it's different from all the records among Hearts and Kotoko since 2016. Then 2024-25 went back to the usual 1-0, 1-1, and then it happened 0-0, Kotoko 1-1-0. Then 2025-26, Kotoko won the first leg. Statistically, on Sunday, it should end in a draw. It should end 0-0. Or 1-1.
So looking at the trend analysis, it's most likely this Sunday's game would end in a draw.
Yes.
So it could be 1-1 or 0-0. That's based on the trend.
0-0.
Yeah, 1-1 or 0-0.
But
based on the trend.
But before 2016, a lot of some of the games had been very high scoring. I remember,
I'll take you back.
Back in the day, played this crazy, was it 3-3?
Yes.
Yeah.
07-08.
Yes.
But based on the last 10 years and their last 15 games, it's almost looking like we would see a draw on Sunday.
Yes. If one leg ends
whether it's going to be a ball draw or a score draw, we can't really tell. So this will be for our Sporty plug fans. This is one you should take note of. But so Mo,
they are taking notes.
Yeah, they are taking notes.
Possible draw
0-0 or 1-1.
Based on based on this,
Based on this,
statistics,
yes, right.
yes, this is
The
the
trend,
statistics.
yeah.
But I want to tell you something. This is the last time Hatufuk beat Kotoko, 2023, 1-0. That was when Kunedu Yadom scored a header. And that was when Hatufuk brought in Kunedu Yadom. And the first round, Hatufuk failed to win. The second leg, Hatufuk won. And it was the last time they won. This is 2 consecutive seasons, 2023-24, 2024-25. And so 2 consecutive seasons Kotoko have dominated. And you know what? If on Sunday the game should end in a draw, it means that Kotoko have dominated Hatufuk for 3
Seasons, yeah.
If Kotoko should pick a point against us, it will be 3 seasons consecutively dominated by Kotoko in 6 league matches, with 4 of the games going in favor of Kotoko and 2 ending in the draw. For now, we have 1 draw, and we are looking at the last one ending in the draw. Now, let me take you through some facts again. And this is from 2020-21, and this is done because from 2020-21, we moved from the 16 Premier League team to 18. So a new era, and we are looking at the performance of both teams. And clearly 0-0-1-0, 0-0-1-0, and that was the same pattern. But you see, let me take you through one key pattern of both sides. Since 2020-21, take note that in Hatofo Kotoko games, the coach who is in charge of Asante Kotoko, before he can win against Hatofo, should have a previous positive records against Hatofo with another team before the coach can dominate Hatofo. And that is why it looks like Kotoko wants Hamza Obeng to take charge. Why? If you don't have a good track record against us in your previous club, there's no way you can beat Hatofo. Let's
break it down. Yeah.
2020-21. Now in 2020-21, Kotoko did not have a top coach in charge in the second round. As at that season, Maxwell Kunedu has left the club, and so it was difficult for them to beat. Then it was the season when Dr. Prosper Nateogum was in charge of Wafa.
Okay.
Take note, in match day 34, when Hatofok won the Premier League, the match day 34 was also a coronation game between Hatofok and Wafa. Wafa won 1-0. When Wafa won 1-0, it was a season when Hatofok won the first leg. But previously, Wafa have dominated Hatofok.
Yeah.
And under Dr. Prosper Nateogum. So he came for the job as Kotoko head coach. And this is what happened. In 2021-22, he went unbeaten against Hatofok. Drew the first leg, won the second leg 1-0. Then he left the club.
Yeah.
When he left the club, they went in for Zebo. When Zebo came in 2022-23, they drew 1-1 and lost to Hatofok because he did not have any good record as a coach before taking over Kotoko. Then he also the doctor returned back as a coach, dominated the 2 seasons, won home and away 3-2, 2-0 against Hatofok. Then again they went in for Abdul Karim Zito. These are the games for Doctor. He played this game, this match. He won back to back. And then in the second round, he left Asante Kotoko. They went in for Abdul Karim Zito. And guess what? Proud to Abdul Karim Zito's turn as Kotoko's head coach, he's gone 7 consecutive games unbeaten as Dreams FC head coach against us. He had a better records against Hatofok as Dreams FC head coach.
Yeah.
In fact, in his last game as Dreams FC head coach against us, he won 1-0. He took over, he played 2 matches in the league, won 1, and then drew 1. And then this fixture, clearly Kotoko is going in with a coach who does not have a positive record playing against Hatofok. And that is where it becomes a problem. Maybe because of this history and statistics backing the draw, it could be a big advantage.
But so again, Nathan, based on this trend, and Mo, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Prince Owusu, who has not had any prior experience beating Hatofok, might end up like Zebo. There's a possibility they could lose this game.
Okay.
Because when we talk about experience of playing Hatofok, he doesn't have it.
Yes.
all the other managers who have done their job for Kotoko against us, Karim Zito, Prosper Ogum, have all had the chance of beating Hearts with other teams.
Yeah.
Now Prince Owusu comes in tabula rasa, and clearly he could struggle to do the job just like Zito and Prosper Ogum did previously. So again, another statistic or another fact to look at for those who want to, play their games. For Sporty plug guys, take note. The coaching factor, the experience of Prince Owusu going into a game against Hearts compared to Karim Zito and Prosper Ogum, a bit problematic. So again, we are possibly looking at a win in this instance. There's a possibility of a win in this instance for Hearts.
Because Prince Owusu doesn't have
a good draw. It's about 70.
Yes.
A draw is
most likely.
It's a likely result.
Again, if you want to look at those who have won against Kotoko or those who have won against Hearts with previous experience, then Prince Owusu doesn't take that box correct. And so again, if Didi Dramani comes in well, he could get a win in this one. Shaban.
Well, so you spoke about Didi Dramani. Before I look at these statistics, on paper, Didi Dramani against Kotoko yet to end in a draw. And it is also a possibility that Sunday we are going to see a win. You see, we've looked at the general statistics where it tells us a possible draw. But Didi as a coach is here to draw against Kotoko. And in the President's Cup, he lost to Kotoko 2-1. In the top 4, he beat Kotoko 2-0. In the league game, he lost to Kotoko 1-0. In 3 matches as a coach of Heart to Folk against Kotoko, the games are yet to end in a draw. And possibly on Sunday, per the coach's records data, there should be a win between Didi Dramani and Prince Owusu. Now, this is Kotoko and Heart to Folk. Kotoko is the home side, Heart to Folk is the away team. Interestingly, Kotoko have scored 28 goals, and the second most goals scored club in the Premier League now. Heart to Folk is the second least in terms of goals scored, and that is 15. 11 Wonders currently at the bottom of the league have scored 14 goals, and Heart to Folk have scored 15. And it's also something difficult. But you see, there's a positive record for Heart to Folk. They are the side with the most away wins, 5. Again, in the 15 goals scored, they scored 9 away, 6 home. 9 away, 6 home. Heart to Folk in the last 2 away games are yet to concede a goal. Heart to Folk have won their last 2 away games. Heart to Folk have scored 4 goals in their last 2 away games and yet to concede against Koko United and against 11 Wonders. And in general, Heart to Folk have played 11 away matches this season in the Ghana Premier League. They've won 5, they've lost twice. They lost to Karela United at the Tamale Stadium, and they lost their second away game against Mediema Sporting Club, also at the voice of Stadium. So Heart to Folk also losing away is possible, and clearly records says that if Heart to Folk are going to lose, they are not going to score. Losing 1-0 to Karela away, 2-0 to Karela away, 1-0 to Mediema away. They fail to score in those fixtures. And so a good record for Heart to Folk, having scored 9 of their 15 goals scored away and 6 at home, tells you that they have a good record. Now, let's look at Asante Kotoko. And for Asante Kotoko, out of the 28 goals scored in the Premier League, majority of the goals have come at home. 21 at home. 21 at home and 7 away. And so clearly Kotoko is a good side in terms of goal scoring at home. Now let's look at some facts again in terms of the goals scored. And in the 28 goals scored by Asante Kotoko, 17 of the goals have come in the second half. Second half 17, first half 11. Second half 17, first half 11. And so Kotoko is a good side at home in 21 goals scored in a possible 28, 7 away. However, in the 28 goals scored by Asante Kotoko, in the first half they scored 11. In the second half they scored 17 of the goals. That gives them a big advantage against opponents in the second half. Guess what? We are looking at Hartlepool Kotoko. And it is key that we look at the performance of the players. Currently, if you pick Kotoko's top scorers in the Premier League, I'm sure the absence of Abet Amwa at a point had a big effect on the
Sporty
side,
FM.
because before he left Kotoko, he scored 2 goals in 3 matches. He returned in about 3 matches, he scored 1. And in total, so far in the Premier League, in 5 matches, he scored 2 goals. And clearly, averagely 2 goals, 2 games, 1 goal. And that is something good. And that is where it puts pressure on Hartlepool, because it's one of the players that in about 2 matches, he will give you 1 goal. Now, we are going to look at.
But Mo, let me take you back a bit. Now, if you look at the form guide per the numbers, Hearts of Folk are top of the table when it comes to away performances. They have been very dominant away from home.
Yes.
So just like Saban said, in 11 games, they've picked up as many as 19 points. Now, you look at Kotoko on the other hand, they don't particularly have a very good home record, despite the fact that they've scored a lot of goals at home. If you look at the home performance in the Ghana Premier League this season, you talk about Mediama, you talk about Samatex, Gold Stars, Nations, Bichim, you talk about Dreams, Holy Stars, Karela, Heart of Lions, even before you get to Kumasi, Asante Kotoko. Looking at the 2 contrasting stats both teams have, and knowing very well that yes, this is a derby, are we going to see Hearts of Folk's dominance away from home possibly, turn around the scoreline in this one? 2
key things to watch out for on Sunday. The last time Hearts of Folk beat Kotoko in Kumasi in the Premier League was way back in 2015. Take note, 2015. It means that Hearts of Folk beating Kotoko in Kumasi is something difficult for them to do in recent years. Now, aside that, Kotoko are unbeaten in the Premier League at home in the last 21 league games, currently holding the longest unbeaten home record in the Premier League. And that is also the advantage they have going to the game. Now, this season, Kotoko have done 10 matches as compared to Hartlepool, who have done 11 away games, winning 5,
This is
drawing
Sporty
4.
FM, the voice of
Kotoko, on the
sport.
other hand, have done 10 games in the league at home this season. This is their 11th home game, and they've won 6, drawn 4. And the likes of Bekum Chelsea, Mediama Sporting Club, Heart of Lions are teams that went to Kumasi to pick a point. And there's something interesting. Before Kotoko started their 21 game unbeaten run, it was Heart of Folk that they started with. That was previously they lost to Nations FC in 17th November 2024. After losing to Nations on the 17th of November 2024, that game was played at the Obuasi Lenkele Sports Stadium as Kotoko's home game. Then they decided to move their home games to Kumasi. Then that game against Heart of Folk was played on the 15th of December 2024. And after winning that game, that is 1-0 Abet Amwes goal, Kotoko have been consistent in terms of a home performance. And in the 21 games, they've won 16 and drawn 5 of the games. And so, though we've seen Samatex perform well, we have Mediama Sporting Club unbeaten this season, Samatex unbeaten this season at home, Nations FC unbeaten this season at home. Irrespective of the draws, Kotoko are churning out at home. Their worst results this season at home have not been a defeat. At least they managed to pick a point, and that also puts these dynamics into
the draw category.
Category.
So Nathan, again, if you look at this stat, Hearts of Folk, very good away travelers. Kotoko, fantastic record at home. It again points to the draw. It again points to the draw. So if Kotoko are not going to end up losing the game, and if Hearts of Folk are very good travelers, then you are possibly going to see 2 teams who would not want to allow anything to go under the bus. And so we'll see. Mo, let's continue.
Let's continue with the conversation. This is Kotoko's last 5 home games, and this is great performance. They failed to score in only 1 game. And let's look at Kotoko. And there's something positive around here. That is in terms of goal scoring. 6-3-1-2. Conceding just 2, and that is against Mediama Sporting Club. Now let's look at the top 4 teams in the
And clearly, Heart of Oak is part of the top 4 now. And among the teams Kotoko have defeated or played against the last 5, only Midiama SC were part of the top 4. Now, in that fixture, Midiama, who were part of the top 4, scored twice against Kotoko. But opponents who were not part of the top 4, like Dreams FC, Betim, Sporty, Baseke Holy Stars, were all sides that were not too difficult for Kotoko to play. Though Bekum Chelsea managed to pick their points, Betim considered 6, Dreams FC considered 1, and Baseke considered 3. And so statistically, Kotoko also keeping clean sheets at home in their recent performances high. And that also changed the dynamics of the game. For Midiama Sporting Club, at the point, they had a good team, they had good attackers, they are free scoring side as compared to Heart of Oak, who are not free scoring side. And that also shows that the worst results for Kotoko could be a draw, especially against a side that is part of the top 4. Now, look at Heart of Oak's last 5 away games. And this is also the pattern. With Heart of Oak's last 5 away matches, Heart of Oak are also showing signs of keeping clean sheets. Though they lost to Karela, they lost to Midiama Sporting Club. In 3 of their 5 away matches played, they've kept clean sheets. And also, Heart of Oak will either score or you score and you will not equalize. And so, if Kotoko should score first against Heart of Oak on Sunday, it's a defeat for Heart of Oak. Per their last 5 away matches, because there's no 1-1, 2-1, 3-2, but there's a goalless draw.
Right.
There's a goalless draw, but there's no 1-1, 2-2 in there. So possibility, if Kotoko should score first, that is it for Heart of Oak. If Hearts should score first, when you hear goal on Sunday and it's Heart of Oak, then you are going to win by 1-0. If it's Kotoko who scores, then it is going to also end by 1 goal or 2 goals to nil. And if both sides fails to score in about 70 minutes of the game, possibility we are going to record their scoreline against Indiana FC, which ended 0-0. That is it. Now, let's switch focus to something interesting.
Sporty FM.
Now, with this, I am going to merge the other short stoppers who are playing for both sides, Kotoko and Heart of Oak.
Okay.
Mohamed Kamara is the number 1 for Kotoko, and that is why he's been used for the stats. And then Benjamin Asari is the number 1 for Heart of Oak, and he's also found here. But there's a lot of talks around Solomon Agbesi and Benjamin Asari. Solomon Agbesi has 7 clean sheets as a shot stopper. Benjamin Asari has 8 clean sheets as a shot stopper. And Sharif Shwaib has 1. In total, 21 matches. Heart of Oak's 3 combined goalkeepers have given 16 clean sheets. And Kotoko's 2 goalkeepers combined this season, Dari Aziz Haruna and Mohamed Kamara, they've given Kotoko 13 clean sheets, with Mohamed Kamara giving Kotoko 10 and also Dari giving Kotoko 3. In total 13. So in terms of goals conceding, Heart of Oak are very good with 16 clean sheets in 21 games, managing to concede in about 5 matches, and that's a positive one, right? That's positive.
Yeah, that's positive.
Having been able to keep some clean sheets. But you see, with Benjamin Asari, look at the losses as a shot stopper for Heart of Oak. In 11 appearances, Heart of Oak have lost once with Benjamin Asari as a goalkeeper. And guess what? It is a defeat against Kotoko. Benjamin Asari's defeat 1 is the first leg, match day 9 encounter where Morifin Donsu scored his first goal, and it was a game that Heart of Oak considered first in the first half. That was the very first time this season Heart of Oak were conceding in the first half. And so I think if any team could score Benjamin Asari or defeat Heart of Oak with Benjamin Asari post, that is only Asante Kotoko.
Because they've done it before.
Don't be surprised if Heart of Oak are defeated with Benjamin Asari, because he's lost to Kotoko as a shot stopper. But then also in terms of clean sheets, he has 8 in 11 games, conceding just 4 goals. And two of the goals came against Gold Stars. The 2-2 encounter at the Accra Sports Stadium. And so Benjamin Asari is one top shot stopper to watch out for. For Mohamed Kamara, interestingly, Heart of Oak Kotoko in the Premier League, Kamara is yet to concede a goal. Is yet to concede.
as a shot stopper against Hartlepool, as compared to Benjamin Asare, who has conceded against Kotoko. Kamara is yet to concede a goal, and that is also the difference. Let's look at the stats in general. 10 games, 10 clean sheets as compared to 8, 12 goals conceded as compared to 4, 8 wins, 6 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses, 1 loss for Benjamin Asare. And again, a possible draw appears they all have 4 balls going into the fixture on Sunday, and that is the 2 goalkeepers. Now let's look at.
Let me bring you back to the goalkeepers. Let me bring you back to the goalkeepers. Hearts of Oak this season have conceded only 7 goals all competition or all tournament. Now, what has accounted for Hearts of Oak's very good defensive display? Would you put it down to the brilliance of their goalkeepers, or they just have a very good defensive unit that seems to protect their goalkeepers a lot?
Well, we have the squad. We are going to look deep into how both teams are performing. But it looks like the shot stoppers are on top. Benjamin Asare, Solomon Agbesi are top shot stoppers. Some of the saves they've done has actually kept Hearts of Oak in some of the games, and so it is key that we pay attention to the performance of these shot stoppers. But this is the 2 players to watch out for. And Albert Amoah is back, and I'm sure he's the biggest motivation for Kotoko. You can imagine Kotoko without Albert Amoah this Sunday. It's going to be Modifin Dozu, Kwame Poku, and the absence of Peter Amiduapa. Peter is currently not part of the squad because of injury. And in the first round, Peter was the tormentor, creating all the decent chances, creating the penalty against Hearts of Oak. And it's unfortunate that we are going to miss him in the Super Clash. Mauli Wayo currently is the top scorer of Hearts of Oak, having scored 5 goals in 18 matches. And it looks like, in terms of stats, Albert Amoah is ahead 5 matches, 3 goals, 18 games, 5 goals. Obviously Albert Amoah, but for Mauli Wayo, he's not an out-and-out striker. He plays as a winger, being forced to lead the attack for Hearts of Oak. Having played for King Faisal, Bibiani Gold Stars, he's now gained the experience. For Albert Amoah, he's played for Olympics 1 season before signing for Asante Kotoko last year. Then this year, at a point, he left to Libya. He's back again in the Kotoko team. 2 assists, 1 assist, 2 MVPs. And Mauli Wayo is yet to receive a Man of the Match award after 18 matches played. And we are looking at a team with most attackers. Clearly, it's Asante Kotoko. Albert Amoah, Peter Amiduapa, Saka Dauda, Inusa Adams, Kwame Poku, Modifin Dozu. These are all attackers. In the absence of Peter Amiduapa, they still have Inusa Adams as a winger, Saka Dauda as a winger. And that gives them the advantage. They are going to be complements of Albert Amoah, Kwame Poku as well. I've watched him train, and it looks like his confidence level is up there. Albert Amoah, no doubt, a very good player for Asante Kotoko. And then Mauli Wayo and Hamza. Hamza has scored 4 goals. And if you look at the 4 goals Hamza has scored, Mauli Wayo, who is a winger, has 5 goals. And in total, the 2 attackers combined 9 goals for Hearts of Oak. I'm not surprised that Hearts of Oak have only scored 15 goals, with Kevin Osesibi also scoring 1 from the sports kick, and that is a big disadvantage going into the game. Now, I want us to look at...
so both players, Wayo has never scored against Kotoko.
Wayo is yet to score. His goal was disallowed in the first round. And Albert has scored against Hearts of Oak.
So going into the game, there's a player who...
His goal was correctly
disallowed. Correctly disallowed. Yeah.
Brilliant decision by the officials on the day to have caught it as it happened. Oh, that was good.
But Albert Amoah has a goal against Kotoko. So against Hearts. Sorry. And so again, for those of you who want to pay attention to goal scorers, Albert Amoah has been able to put the ball behind any Hearts of Oak goalkeeper. So that's what you should take note of.
Playing against Hearts of Oak is something normal for Albert Amoah. I watched him in the first round last year. And if you look at
this is Sporty FM, the voice of sports.
You do a lot of work. Eventually, the last minute chance that blender between Benjamin Asare and Kevin Osesi that led to his important goal against Hearts of Oak. Now let's look at the Kotoko team. Possibly starting 11. Modifin Dozu 4 goals, Albert Amoah 3 goals, and Walid Fuseni is not been consistent in the midfield. and it looks like Prince Owusu will now adjust to the 4-3-3 formation. And Abdul Karim Zito, they were playing the 4 attackers, and the 4 attackers has to see Saka Dauda join the midfield, Peter Amidu Akwa join the midfield with Prince Bedu, Hubert Jewu, and 2 attackers as well. So Kotoko in the game were going with 4 strikers. Now in the absence of Peter Amidu Akwa, they would have to adjust and then bring in Morifin Dons, who is a striker, and Morifin Dons' work or role will be to attack the Heart-of-Oak defense, because he has the pace. Though he's not scored a lot of goals, with 4 goals, he has the pace, he has the speed, and can mount pressure on the Heart-of-Oak defense, because possibly Heart-of-Oak are likely to go with a 3-back system. Then Albert Amwa usually would be as a center forward, but who will be rotating with Saka Dauda. Usually because of his pace, he can also join from the wings to put more pressure on the Heart-of-Oak defense. Saka Dauda also as a winger will be part of the team. Now Prince Bedu has adjusted to Kotoko squad quickly in the since signing for them in the January transfer window. Hubert Jewu has got 4 goals, and Walid Fuseni, who has not been consistent in terms of performance. At a point, maybe a lot of people will be thinking about Emmanuel Enchi getting the nod to start, but Walid in recent games has been part of the Kotoko squad, and that gives him the advantage over all the midfielders. And so they would have a number 10, like the fans are complaining that Kotoko is playing without a number 10. But when Zito was using the 4 attackers, he goes with Hubert Jewu and Prince Bedu, and so they didn't have a number 10 that will be doing the ball distribution. Walid Fuseni will be doing that job. The wing backs, Lord Amwa will return. He's back from injury. Joseph Amwa, and he's been playing ahead of Patrick Esidu recently, and one of the best centre backs, Samba Unel. He's got 4 goals to his credit as a centre back. He has 4 goals, Hubert Jewu 4 goals, Albert Ama 3 goals, Morifin Donsu 4 goals. And so if you look at the Kotoko goal scoring path, it's spread across the strikers, the midfield, and even the defense. And then Henry Ansu and Lord Ama. For Mohamed Kamara, we've spoken extensively about him, and we want to see how this Kotoko squad, pacey Kotoko attackers, would attack the best defensive setup team in the Ghana Premier League.
Now, wait, let's go back to Kotoko. Now, looking at this team, where is the weakness in this team?
Well, let's look at the strength and weakness of the team. The biggest strength of Kotoko has to do with their 3 front line. And that is Morifin, Albert and Saka. On any day, you'll be punished if you allow them spaces.
Okay.
And they love to play the high pressing and make sure that it becomes a challenge for you defending. And when they play that high pressing football, you would now have to fall back and play as a defensive setup team. And that is where they get to dominate, distribute the passes. You watch them against Karela, they won 4-2. Against Baseke, they won 3-0. Against Bechim United, they won 6-0. And that is the level at which Kotoko attacks. They go with all their strength and make sure they frustrate you. Now, the biggest weakness of Asante Kotoko is their midfield. Their midfield, because Walid Bedu are more offensive.
The voice
Now, they'll be left with Prince Bedu, and Prince Bedu would have to do all the defensive work, tackling, ball distribution, and if the midfielders of the opponent overtakes or overshadows Prince Bedu, then it becomes a problem. You know his tackles as well. He goes in for dangerous tackles, and when he's frustrated, possibly he's going to go. Then one biggest problem of the Kotoko defense has to do with their other centre back, Henry Ansu. And so if Heart-of-Oak wants to take advantage of Kotoko, usually they have to break on the counter, because Samba Unel is so confident that whenever he attacks, he can get a goal. And that is when sometimes he overlooks the defensive
duties.
And when he overlooks the defensive duties, if you are clinical, it gives you an advantage. But again, the draw, because though we are looking at the Kotoko weakness, Heart-of-Oak's attack have not been clinical in the Premier League. Even at home, they've not been. Heart-of-Oak at home in 10 matches have won only 4. And with home advantage, creating decent chances, outplaying opponents, it's been difficult for them to score. And so the Kotoko weakness, that is their defensive and midfield, is still makes it difficult for her to focus
because they may not be able to explore
to their satisfaction.
Yeah.
And maybe for the first time we are going to see a different how to folk. It does happen where sometimes you see a different how to folk going into the game. But this is Accra how to folk. And you see, we look at the Kotoko midfield of 3. We spoke about Kotoko allowing their opponent to overshadow them. Now, this is hard to folk. Possibly they are going to have about 5 crowded midfielders. And why are they having 5? The 2 wing backs join the midfield. And this is also a plus for Kotoko, where the 3 attackers with high pressing would have that
find the spaces.
They find the spaces. It happened in the first round at the Accra Sports Stadium, where Kotoko actually controlled the heart attack. Peter Midu Aqua. Kotoko had to play in the 3 back. Ali Mohammed Opon and Isibe. But that first round, it was Ali Mohammed, Baba Damu, and
Baba Damu. I think Baba Damu played on the left-hand side of the back three. He really struggled. He struggled that game. He really struggled that game.
Also struggled. Because at a point it was difficult. Then the right wing back,
Amankwabe.
You know why? His role is to attack and join the defense. Now the wingers, the attackers of Kotoko were giving him and he got tired. And eventually decided to bring Peter because
it was a very lazy challenge. Lazy challenge.
And so that was why they considered. Now, Opon is back at a point. He's captain how to move. It looks like he's building up gradually, picking up his momentum. And then we have Kevin Osei and Ali Mohammed. These are the 3 center backs. And the only changes is that the first round it was Baba Damu, and this time it is going to be David Opoafani, who brings in a lot of experience. Now, how to folk will have advantage in the midfield because of the 2 wingers or wing backs join. Gordon Kujo, who is versatile, possibly getting the advantage. So he has 2 assists to his credit. Then Amankwabe also having the advantage. But for the first time, how to folk will have a lot of options in the midfield. Hussein, Rafael Amponsa, DM Abdul Karim will play as a central midfielder with Hussein playing as an attacking midfielder. This is where Hart overshadows Kotoko. Now let's do the comparison.
This is Sporty FM, the voice of sport.
Obviously, among the 3 midfielders, you can only talk about Hubert Jehu, who is good in terms of long range balls and a good passer of the ball. But you come to how to folk, you talk about Hussein, he's got the pace, though he's not clinical like Hubert Jehu, but then he got the pace, he can run, he can tackle. Talk about Rafael Amponsa, he is a defensive midfielder, he's going to play the pivot role as Prince Bedu is also going to play. But Prince Bedu is now fitting to the Kotoko team. Rafael Amponsa has been consistent in the hard to folk setup, and did he likely to go with 2 pivots where Abdul Karim, who is also with the experience, also going to join the midfield. So has possibly to overshadow Kotoko in the midfield. Kotoko possibly to overshadow her to folk from the wings. And that is Kotoko now going to look for space from the wings, and that is the advantage. And so when Saka is with the ball, it is going to be dangerous for her to folk. When Morifin is the ball, dangerous. When Abet is with the ball, it becomes difficult for her to bring them down. But then, in terms of midfield, Hartlepool would have a lot of men dominate. And you can imagine a side that is dominating in the midfield against a side dominating from the flanks. When the balls are not moving to the flanks, it will be difficult for them to control the ball. But the biggest strength as well is Kotoko's wing backs. They are very good. And so sometimes if we are doing an illustration, you can see that Joseph will join Morifin, Lord will join Saka. So possibly Kotoko could have about 6 men joining the Hartlepool attack, a defense, and that puts more pressure on them. But this is where the problem is. When Hamza is with the ball, not too dangerous, but with Mauli Wayo with the ball, it becomes difficult for opponents. And if you've watched him against 11 Wonders, he scored a very good goal, a striker's goal against Hoho United as well. He did that. He looks like he's well motivated and he's got the confidence against Kotoko, and also Albert Amwa also having the confidence against us. Look, the 2 players to watch out for on Sundays, Albert Amo of Kotoko, Mauli Wayo of Heart of Oak. The defenders to watch out for, Kevin Osesibe, as well as Samba New. Midfield to watch out for is going to be Hubert Jiu and also Hussein Mohammed going to the fixture. But Parku George likely to start from the bench. Henry Kwekubuat and the young winger possibly starting from the bench. And for Asante Kotoko, they have complement of Kwame Poku. And I know the changes that Kotoko will do, possibly Morifin doing to at the point to come out for Kwame Poku. And Saka Dada will also come out for Inusa Adams. And so Kotoko in the full 90 minutes would have their wingers operating throughout. And maybe how to folk would have to consider using Hamza Issa the entire 90 minutes, though they have Frankie Buladuku. And that is the problem. And you see Kotoko scores more in the second half. 17 goals in the second half. As compared to Hartlepool, who also concedes more in the second half. And so a tough one to watch out for in the big game. Let's see how Didi and Prince also go into the game. Like the comments are coming. Prince also not having that back support to play the game on Sunday. I'm sure between Prince also Hamza Issa or Hamza Obeng, one of them will be taking charge of Asante Kotoko. But the statistics obviously do not even favor
any of them. Yeah.
Because Hamza Obeng is yet to play
as a folk.
Heart of Folk as a coach.
With another club. Yeah. Okay.
This is Sporty FM, the voice of sports.
Tough one on Sunday. Possibly, per the permutations, you know what I mean.
Well, per the permutations, it's quite clear that it's inching towards a draw. But it's inching towards a draw based on all we've heard and all we've seen. But, in games like this, there's always the talk of, Hearts Kotoko matches don't follow form guide, all of those things. We always hear that anytime Hearts of Folk and Kotoko are going to play. But this weekend, based on everything Mo Shabana said, Nathan, where should we put our money?
You have to ask him about that one. where we should put our money.
I'm keeping my money in my pocket.
I mean, that's the best place. I don't know. I don't think this one will end in a draw. I think there'll be a winner.
And if there'll be a winner, which way does it?
I think it is likely to be Asante Kotoko because I just think the attack seems to be it has more potency. Hearts have struggled for goals. Hearts are disciplined in terms of their shape and all, and Didi Dramani has coached this Hearts team to be difficult to break down. The problem is that Hearts have not scored enough, and I get the feeling that with all Kotoko having attack, they may find an opening or two, and they will try and get something. Let's not forget their recent record in Baba Yara against Hearts of Oak is relatively good. They've managed to get more wins than Hearts of Oak have done. Hearts of Oak last win is 2015. 2015, yeah. So all of that, and then you add, of course, the drama of the day, everything that's happened. Hearts will have to be very careful in this game. They need to see the game out, because if after 80 minutes it's goalless, they'll have to be very disciplined to see the game out, pick a point and be happy with it. But I just get the feeling if it has to come to one team finding the breakthrough, I think it's likely to be Asante Kotoko.
Nathan has made a very good point. You see, we spoke about two things. Either the coach's records or the general statistics. And the coach's record says that one would have to win. And again, if you look at what Nathan is saying, look at the Kotoko attack. Look, if you take Saka Dada out, Inusa Adams comes. If you take Morfin and Kwame Poku comes.
Take Albert out.
Albert a lot of options.
Hearts don't have that.
If Hearts of Folk should take the first half 0-0, if you take out Hamza Issa in the game, you bring Frankie Buladuku. He's not that fearsome striker. If you take out Mauli Wayo, that Heart is finished. If you take Mauli Wayo out of the game, Heart of Folk is finished from the attacking point of view. What it means is that Heart of Folk will just possess the game. Now, if I want to side with him, House Karela has Midiema. Midiema dominated the game in the second half. And you see, for how long will your defense be disciplined till 90 minutes? For how long? You might
get tired, one mistake.
From maybe the one of the center backs, and eventually you concede, irrespective of how good your goalkeeper is. And maybe where Atofo will now have an advantage has to do with their goalkeeping department. Maybe they feel Benjamin Asari on any day will play a key role in helping the side to avoid defeat. But in general, it's two things to watch out for. Either a win per the coach's statistics, a general draw, but the general draw dominates the
win for either.
The last two Kotoko has games in Kumasi, Kotoko have won. Kotoko's last 2 home games, they've won. The last 5 games, Kotoko have won 4, drawn 1, with all the advantage. The last win, 2015, since 2010.
This is Sporty FM, the voice of sports.
Sports Stadium in the Premier League since 2010, and that was 2010, 2011, 2015, 2010, 2011, 2015. Only twice. This alone gives Kotoko, unlike Kotoko playing away to Hasufuk in Accra, they win. But how to go into Kumasi to win?
It's tough. It's tough.
I would say
Hearts will have to handle the game very well. Very. Didi has a lot of work to do on this team.
Well, you know, Shaban has spoken about all the stats and all the good things about the players and everything, but he's left out one thing.
What, the operations?
The spiritual side.
Do you have the numbers of the spiritual
side? You know, Mo, which of the teams is spiritually stronger?
If we are going with Innocent, he's spiritually.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
A first game for the new MD, far too full.
Julius first.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, he's my former boss at the Ghana Football Association, director of competitions. I've worked under him for 2 years.
Okay.
And he's going to play his first.
Challenge.
Disappointment. Julius' first game is against.
So all the things he has seen as competitions manager, let's see if he can,
Right, Mo, let me say a big thank you to you for joining us on the show this morning. Hopefully, we'll be back on Monday to run the rule over everything we'll see at the Barbara Sports Stadium on Sunday. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
I'm grateful.
And a build up to the Ghana Premier League clash between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Folk. Mo Shaban is a Ghana Premier League football expert, Ghana Premier League expert, let me put it that way, and is a Ghana football statistician. I would go straight to Europe. There's a lot to talk about. 2 managers who replaced Ange Postecoglou at 2 separate clubs have been sacked. First was Thomas Frank, sacked by Tottenham Hotspur. And then you also have the coach of Nottingham Forest, Sean Dyche, also losing his job after 4 months in charge. He also replaced Ange Postecoglou. And Manchester City, they beat Fulham yesterday to put more pressure on Arsenal. Arsenal have it all to do at the G-Tech Community Stadium tonight when they face Brentford. Many believe Arsenal might struggle in this game because they do not necessarily have a good record against Brentford at the G-Tech Stadium. We'll see if Arsenal, Arteta and his charges can win this game to open a 6-point lead at the summit of the English Premier League table. Let's take a spot of music, and when we return, we'll zoom straight into Europe and bring you up to speed on everything that has happened so far in the English Premier League and what to look forward to in tonight's game.
Sporty FM Gotcha, the voice of sports.
let me run you through the scoreline of yesterday's games. Aston Villa beat Brighton by a goal to 0. Crystal Palace, after taking a 2-goal lead, got beat. They lost 3-2 to Burnley. Quite a shock result in there. Manchester City, they started well against Fulham. They scored 3 first half goals, and that was enough to give them maximum points against Fulham at the Etihad. And the Nottingham Forest, they drew 0-0 with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and that result ensured that Sean Dyche got the sack. And then Sunderland, they lost at home to Liverpool in the final game of the night. VVD scored a crucial goal for Liverpool as they push for a top 4 finish. So that's how things ended yesterday in the English Premier League. But there are lots of talking points. And we'll start off with the sacking of Thomas Frank from Tottenham Hotspur. And I think yesterday we had a conversation on this matter, and the panel agreed that indeed performances were not good, and it was only a matter of when rather than if Tottenham were going to pull the plugs. Now let me start with you, Kelvin. You have watched this Tottenham team all season. Has Thomas Frank been that bad in the league for Tottenham to occasion a sack?
Well, I think they've been terrible. Yeah, they've been terrible. And like I'm saying, yes, you may owe it to players getting injured and all that, but I think that if you look at the number of games that they went, you can't go more than 10 games for a top 6 side like Tottenham Hotspur and then no win a game. It's totally unacceptable, especially when they've made lots of signings. They've invested.
Yeah,
Kudus coming in, Xavi Simons, Dominic Solanke getting back from injury. You look at the Spurs team, and it's not bad. And I say, if Sunderland with their materials, if other clubs, Crystal Palace, amid all their struggles, still manage to win games and they don't go that gap without victories, and Tottenham with Thomas Frank, even at Brentford, when he had, less quality resources in terms of the pedigree of the players and the quality that is what we had seen from the 2 sets of teams. You can't come to Tottenham Hotspur and then collapse the team like that, especially when they have come from a very bad end, under the tutelage of Ange Postecoglou. So it was always going to come, and his remarks, his comments, his reactions, it got to a point that the players got angry because he was consistently matching them up with Arsenal. And we know the kind of rivalry. Yeah. Imagine a hat to folk coach always telling them, look at the Kotoko team, look at the Kotoko team, look at the performance. They are winning games. The players got fed up with him. And his reactions, drinking tea from an Arsenal cup, all those things. And I'm saying it, if Daniel Levy was in charge, he would have gone a very long time.
That's true.
Because Levy wouldn't entertain and condone those actions from him.
Yeah.
But he spent too much time. And I think that they spent far too long. Maybe it was getting them victories in the Champions League and all that. But domestically, you look at the Spurs team and they were just horrible to see.
Yeah.
Even under the West managers, they were not playing abysmally like they have been under Thomas Frank. He might not be lucky to, you may say. He might have formed, his team around a couple of players that he was expecting them to give him, But you cannot have these excuses. It was just bad, and I think that yes, Spurs delayed in getting him off their books, and it's good. It's good that now they've just relieved him. They can have a new manager, fresh person to come in, and then we'll see how best he can also try to revive Tottenham. Because if Tottenham is sitting in the second half of the table, and then in the second half of the table, it doesn't speak right of Spurs.
Right, Michael. 2 questions for you. Is the sacking of Thomas Frank fair, based on the fact that he's been able to keep them in Champions League, in the Champions League, qualify them to the next stage of the competition? Would you say his sack is a fair decision from the owners of the club? And the second question would be, where do they go from here? With all the injury concerns they have, can you see a manager come in and turn around their fortunes before the season comes to an end? Michael, you're muted.
Okay.
Right.
To answer the first question, I think it is checked exactly the same way Thomas Frank entered that exited, because he came to replace Hans Postecoglou. He also had a very terrible run in the league, but he won the Europa League and qualified them to the UEFA Champions League. But it was deemed not satisfactory enough, and he was sacked. And Thomas Frank had to come on board. Now, if you look at the games that Spurs have played, 26 matches overall, they've lost 11, they've won 8 and lost 7. They've scored 36 goals and conceded 37. I don't think there will be any justification for why a manager of a top side, because Spurs is normally considered a top 8 Premier League side. So I don't think there will be enough justification for a coach to keep his position with these statistics. Yes, some will give reasons to their form in the Champions League as a backend that Frank should have been kept at post. But again, the manager who won a trophy in Europe and qualified them for the Champions League was sacked. So what's the guarantee that the one who qualified them to the playoff stage or the knockout stage of a Champions League, but with a terrible home record, should be kept at post? So I think it's fair that he was sacked. And it is a clear case of asking a lion to lead a pack of sheep, or asking a sheep to lead a herd of lions. Clearly the strategy will be different, and it will not be accustomed to the group that he leads, because a sheep has their own strategy in terms of attacking. A lion has their own strategy in terms of attacking. So the lion will lead the sheep like they were lions, and they will not achieve desired results. And the sheep will lead lions like they are sheep, and it will not achieve desired results. And Thomas Frank was coaching Spurs with a very defensive approach or mindset. He set the team up mostly to play to suit the opponent they were facing. And I don't think that is what the many Spurs fans needed. They needed a Spurs team that had an independent approach and style, that had an identifiable brand of football, one that they can also call their own, not one that they would have to shape up, prepare and play against an opponent, judging by the kind of opponent that they played. And right from the onset, the fans and the coach were at loggerheads. They did not really seem to agree on a lot of things. And then eventually some of the players also were vocally challenging how things were being done. And to an extent, the likes of Kuti Romero have even gone ahead to question the hierarchy and how they were running the club. So it is clearly a club that was not just ready for Thomas Frank, and it was Thomas Frank not just ready for that jump from Brentford to Spurs. And the evidence is what we have seen. It was a disastrous spell, but it does not make Thomas Frank a bad manager. He was just the captain of the wrong ship, and they sailed at sea at the wrong time.
Right, Michael, we'll get back to that. But another manager who got sacked yesterday was Sean Dyche, and he missed an opportunity to go above Tottenham in that relegation battle, if you want to call it that. Yesterday, clearly, they should have beaten Wolverhampton Wanderers. They did almost everything right in the game, but the ball just wouldn't go into the back of the net. Now, after that draw, he got sacked by his by the owners of the club. You know, let me ask you this: do you think the sacking of Sean Dyche is fair, considering the fact that he's not in the relegation zone, he's above the relegation zone, and there are still games for him to actually get out of there? What occasioned his early departure after just 4 months in charge?
And to add to the surprise, he was nominated for Premier League Manager of the Month in January. And we are in February. So this is like 12th February, and he's been sacked from his job. That is how Evangelos Marinakis operates. You can't actually predict him. He's that guy who's trigger happy. He decides to do things based on his feelings and not necessarily subjecting issues to proper scrutiny. I don't think Nottingham Forest were that bad. But then again, it is just about their recent form. It has not been that impressive. If you check the form table on the Premier League, Nottingham have just won in their last 5 games, and they drew at home against Arsenal. Their win was an away victory against Brentford. Then after that, they drew against teams that were struggling. Crystal Palace have been struggling in recent times, and Nottingham failed to beat them at home. Then they lost to Leeds United, another team that is engaged in a relegation dogfight. And then the last game was against Wolves. Wolves are undoubtedly the worst Premier League team so far this season. And for you to even struggle to put a goal past them, definitely it was going to subject the manager to much more scrutiny. They had the opportunity to increase their point tally and then give them some kind of cushioning in terms of the league table. But that failure to beat Wolves means that they are just 3 points above the last relegation spot. And that does not really give them the kind of assurance that they will stay in the league, because anything can happen in the Premier League at any point in time. So yes, on the evidence of recency, Sean Dyche deserves to be sacked because results were not that impressive. But what makes it baffling to some extent is the statistics they generated in the game against Wolves. Wolves had not faced 35 plus shots against them in a game since they played Liverpool, I think somewhere 2024. And Nottingham had 35 shots. And that's the most for any Sean Dyche team. And it is very surprising that they failed to score. I was actually watching the goal for you know what reasons. I was just tipping them to score so that things will also take on my slip. But unfortunately, it looked like it was one of those nights where the ball would just not enter the net. Morato had a clear chance, but there was a great save from Jose Sarr, the Wolves goalkeeper. There were some opportunities that were near misses. There were balls that were floated inside the 6-yard box, and there was no connection. And at a point in time, the players of Nottingham Forest resorted to taking shots from outside the box because they were frustrated at a point. Wolves did sit deep. They did not open up in the game right until after halftime, where in the second half they stepped out to play. So they made things very difficult for Nottingham Forest. But I think it is inexcusable, judging by how they ended the game and judging by the reaction from the fans. The moment the camera panned on Evangelos Marinakis, I knew definitely a decision will be taken regarding Sean Dyche. And he was asked this question during the post-match interview. So clearly, I think, yes, it is the kind of club that he found himself at. This is the same club that has an owner that is trigger happy and will not shy away from parting company with the manager, irrespective of what you have done in the past. If recent results and performances are not something that is encouraging, they will definitely take a decision regarding your future. And Sean Dyche has to suffer as a result of that. But it's unfortunate. He did not do a bad job, but I don't think it was too good as well to also keep him at post.
Now, there's a bit of analysis on the sacking of Dyche, and Kelvin, I'll come to you in a bit. But so, if you follow the reports, Sean Dyche was brought in not just to guarantee them their Premier League survival, but was expected to push them up the table. Now, that's why he was given a contract until the end of next season. And then his objectives were short-term, and after failing to score against a soon-to-be relegated Wolves, his sacking became inevitable. Now, frustrations have been growing among the corridors of power at the club. A 3-game run against stragglers Crystal Palace, Leeds and Wolves should have given Sean Dyche vital breathing space, but clearly he did not make the most of these games he played. Instead, he only picked 2 points, and his side continue to tread the water above the drop zone. Now, according to reports, Forest spent £180 million in the summer and brought in players in the January transfer window as well. Most of them were attackers, yet Forest only scored 25 goals in 26 league games. And the question a lot of them have been asking, a lot of people around the club have been asking, is that why do you have players like Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Elliot Anderson, and you continue to struggle? All of those reasons have resulted in the sacking of Sean Dyche. But Kelvin, Nottingham Forest, you look at the kind of model they run these days. Nuno Espirito Santo, for no reason, lost his job. Ange Postecoglou came in again because of his relationship with the owner of the club. He came in, got sacked after just a couple of games, And then Sean Dyche comes in, tries to do a decent job, 4 points above the drop zone, and still gets sacked. You know, Nottingham Forest on the right path with Marinakis and his trigger-happy behavior.
I think that man is just too radical. You know, radical not in a positive sense. There are people who are radical in a positive sense.
Right.
Florentino Perez is radical, but it's in the positive sense. He sacks you. He brings on a manager who would make an impact, get him the trophies that he needs, and then he's good to go. But you look at this man and the kind of work Nuno Espirito Santo was doing for Nottingham Forest. Why should there be a problem? Just when he decided to sign on Edu, I just told them this is going to be the end of Nottingham Forest, because the Edu that I know and the principles of Nuno Espirito Santo, they don't match.
Yeah.
And exactly happened the same way. And then Marinakis felt that no, it was Nuno who was becoming too bossy and he had to sack him. That was the start of the collapse of a very brilliant project that Nottingham has started embarking on. They should know that they are not playing in Europe because of any other person. They are playing in Europe because of Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah, that's true.
Sean Dyche, from his performance at Burnley, I just couldn't understand why they were going for him. He never gave any promise. He never gave any promise at Everton. So, looking at his body of work and what Nuno Espirito Santo had given the team, why were they going in for him? And especially when even the appointment that made me annoyed was the Cooper appointment. So clearly and critically, he hasn't really found a very good manager, a very good coach who can manage the players and get the very best out of them. If they were basing on only yesterday's results to sack him, then I think that they were so unfair. 13 glorious, clear goal scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
And there are times I say that players would always be free, and then managers will have to play to victimize for it. If it was solely about yesterday and at least 1, 2, 3 games that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, then it shouldn't be the manager. If players were able to be sacked and then, bring in new players in the middle of the season, it should have been so. But quite unfortunately, it's all because of, inconsistency from him. The team plays good today, the next moment it's bad. But I think Marinakis should just sit down. The next appointment should be a manager who can be a cool head for them. Now there are 3 managers there. He should look at De Zerbi and get him.
Well, according to reports, Nottingham are in talks with former Wolverhampton Wanderers boss Victor Pereira, and he has a very good relationship with the owner, Marinakis. The pair had a stint at Olympiacos.
No, man, does he care about yes, having a good relationship with you?
Yeah. So according to reports, Pereira is the front runner for the job, and his immediate task would be to prepare the team, or whoever comes in would face Fenerbahce next week in the Europa League. So that's a bit of updates coming in there. But Kelvin, quickly, let's do this. Big game coming up tonight at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Arsenal will take on Brentford. Is that a game that Arsenal can win to ensure that they restore their 6-point lead at the top of the table?
Tough game. Keith Andrews has given Brentford some life. Arsenal missing Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard are expected to have late fitness tests and whether they will be able to play for the Gunners. It's quite surprising how Kai Havertz gives Arsenal a new dimension to their play, and then he goes off. Arsenal is still missing the services of Mikel Merino as well as other players. So they have about 5-6 attacking players that on a regular or in a normal day they should be in there. I'm looking at the test without these players and how Mikel Arteta will set up his team up front, which means that it's going to be that is Victor Gyökeres leading the line, or maybe Gabriel Jesus will continue to be there. But I'm looking at on the left-hand side now, Trossard out. Is Martinelli going to shape in, fit in, and give Arsenal that sort of dimension that they have when Leandro Trossard is playing, which I think Keith Andrews and his team have that capability of stopping them. Now, with Arsenal's vulnerability behind, it hasn't been rock solid like last season, even though the clean sheets have come. We've seen games that they concede, cheap goals. With Brentford's attack, Igor would always come, asking questions. And if Arsenal are able to at least repel those attacks, repel, the danger from from Brentford, then I feel they'll be able to win this. And judging from the point that if they lose this game, it means that the point gap stays at 3. And Manchester City breathing down your neck, just like Pep Guardiola said. They'll breathe down Arsenal's neck and hope that they get something out of it. Now they are free. 3 points. All you have to do is to just win and then get it back to 6 points. Arteta knows the job at hand. They know the task at hand. And knowing Arsenal, after dropping points in that sequence of games, I think that they are on the path to be winning games. The game that I feared for them most was that Sunderland game. But once they were able to get over, I think at the JTech Community Stadium, they should be able to get all the points tonight.
Michael, quickly, 30 seconds. Brentford take on Arsenal tonight in a game many believe could go the way of the Gunners. But should we be, should we be preparing for surprises tonight? Can Brentford keep the gap between first and second at 3 by close of match day tonight?
I think they are aiming at qualification for Europe, and they will look at this game as a game that potentially they can get something from. For Arsenal, if you've been monitoring their recent games, they've been targeting defensive solidity. In their last 5 Premier League matches, they've kept 4 clean sheets. So clearly, Arsenal would also want to look at that. If they don't win, they don't drop points. They don't lose the game as well. So I think it's going to be a tight game, but I expect goals to be scored, and it's one that Arsenal must not lose. But can they beat Brentford? It depends on the options and how Arteta sets them up, especially from the start.
Right, Michael, let me say a big thank you to you for joining us on the show this morning. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be back to preview the Super Clash. And of course, we'll run the rule over what happens tonight in that Brentford-Arsenal game. And then we look forward to what to expect in the football world or the sports world over the weekend. So a big thank you to you for joining us. Hopefully we'll catch up again tomorrow. Have a super day, Michael.
All right, thank you very much, Raymond, and also have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. For the next 3 months. So between February and June, there should be a transfer of power to duly elected executives to run the affairs of Ghana boxing. And also, there are meetings that they have planned to hold with stakeholders. And this morning we are joined by the CEO of Box Office Promotions, Mr. Alex Ntiamwa is here with us this morning. He is also a member of the committee for professional boxing stakeholders. He's here with me this morning. Mr. Alex Ntiamwa, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Raymond.
Great. Last time we had a conversation, you were not very happy with the Ghana Boxing IMC because you believed that they had overstayed their welcome. They had stayed in office for 3 months with an extension of another 30 days. And the lack of communication and the lack of clarity with regards to what you were looking for an election was not there. Finally, the NSA has released a statement giving them an extension of tenure, and their demands with regards to that extension. Part of it is to see through the reforms, and the another part also deals with the elections. As a committee concerned with what has been happening within your space, are you satisfied with the latest developments?
Actually, I cannot say as yes or no thing. The reason is, I was here the last time per my submissions. The committee or the stakeholders are not happy about the way things were unfolding. Actually, lack of communication keep people apprehensive about things not going on rightly. But we had some short meeting with the minister, Honorable Kofi Adams. He availed himself for us, and he explain some few things to us. Actually, we supposed to be having information from the NSC because they are the people that get the IMC in charge to oversee the reforms or whatever they have to do to make sure professional boxing is on the right path. But we were not having any information because we got information that prior to their expiration in December, they wrote to the NSC requesting for an extension. If that extension were to be given earlier, then from maybe January to maybe by latest April, they've concluded with whatever they are doing in regards to the extension that they wanted. But we also found out that there is the reason why they couldn't finish within that first period was because of lack of resources. The NSC is supposed to release some funds for them for certain things that they had to do. With regards to the medical and safety protocols, they wanted to have a system that would be some database system that just at a click of a button you can have information on a boxer about his medicals and all that stuff. So it will be some seamless thing to run so that when the medical officer of the Ghana Boxing Authority want to verify if you are clear to fight, it will be very easy for him to be able to do that. Right. And also to keep records of boxers, their medical history and all that stuff. But till today, no money has been, released to them. And even speaking to some of the members of the IMC, even their sitting allowance since day one, nothing has happened. And there are some pensioners on the committee as well that they need to have their fuel and all that stuff. They love to do their job because they love boxing and they want to see boxing thrive. So they are committed to work. But, you wanted to work and the resources are not coming. It's very, very, very hard. So we had a meeting with them on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah.
Yes, there were some things that they brought on board that we were not happy about. We spoke about it and we reached a common ground on how best we can work around it. That was the reason of the engagement. And as we left the place, we are some way happy, but we believe the NSC should do more because with regards to information, they were not giving us information in the past. Now we found out that they are not also releasing funds to the committee to work as they're supposed to do. So if the trend will continue, the people will be there from now till maybe June, and still, if resources are not released to them to work, they will still be asking for attention again.
So there are many who say that, look, we are spending too much time on this Ghana Boxing Interim Management Committee, because if you look at the release they themselves brought, they are telling the good people of Ghana that they have done so much in recent times, and they've also made sure that they've had some very successful events. They named the Takwa Boxing Explosion, the Legacy Rise Showdown, the Battle of Baglaja, the Kabek Big Fight Night, RBS Boxing Masterpiece, Best of Bukom Part 2. All of these ones have gone on successfully under their enhanced safety standards. And so what else is left to be done? Why should they still remain in office and not quickly conduct elections?
These are questions for the gods. Sometimes as a member of the stakeholders, it seems like when you start asking questions, people might think that maybe you are too much about seeing the elections to happen as if you have some special interest and all that stuff. But when you have an association or a regulator that is not having the standard of leadership that you want, and there is an interim leadership there, it's a whole lot of concern that you need to have, because by the GBA standard, the Secretary General, who is the administrator, has to be the person running the day-to-day affairs of the place. And going to the secretariat to deal with the secretary, like you send letters, you go for maybe licenses and all, and what have you. Maybe you want to do a promotion. You send letter to the place, you request for date. They check if your license is updated. The kind of bouts that you want to do, they make sure the boxes have their medicals and all that stuff. All these things pass through the Secretary General. He has to release the information to the various committees that has to work on, like championship committee or maybe other people, the doctor, to see that they have their medicals and everything. It's very simple and it's very easy to go about it, but they make sure everything goes on well. But here is the case: you have the IMC. If you have to go for a promotion, it's like a panel sitting there. You have to go there, like you have to justify yourself and all that stuff. And you know, there are some elderly people on the board who, you know, they have a different way of training. In the past, you know, these old grown-up people, even certain things that you might say that is a young person might take it as simple, they might take it as disrespectful to them, and you know, that kind of thing makes a lot of stakeholders uncomfortable. So these are some of the things that we think they should ease the process so that we can have a very simple GBA that can have interaction with the stakeholders.
All right. So based on your engagement with them, what do they intend to do between now and June to make sure they tighten all the loose ends and then hand over boxing?
With regards to the medical protocol, still today we've not gotten any document on that.
Okay.
They say they still want to. They are working few things on that, and they will call for workshops so that they can. But these things, when you are done with it, you need to have stakeholders engagement, run through it. If there are one or two things that needed to be discussed, it should be. And also, if you want to set up a database system, I don't think it's a work of the IMC. They have to come with the design, how things work, and they get a programmer or somebody that can work on that as an engineer so that the person can do it. And I think between 2 to 3 days, this thing can be done and tests can be run on that to see how successful it will be. So I don't think it's something that should take a very long time, but I agree with them because I learned that somebody has started the system and the money that to be paid to the person has not been paid, so he has not released it to them for them to run the pilot test on it. With regards to legal grounds on, you know, some time back there was this LI 1988 which was regulating sports in Ghana, and they changed in 2023 to bring the new LI 2477. And they brought that. There were some requirements within this new LI that need to be done, because before an association or federation can get its license, he needs to register with the register of companies, to be having an a corporate entity, and then you request for the registration and then the licensing. But it was captured also in that LI 2477 that existing associations that are in place before the new LI was promulgated, they can still stand to exist. So I think we have it, but because we are trying to make things in a regular way, we need to work on that as well. We need to get the registration done and all that stuff. And we had issues with not issues, but we had some deliberations with the IMC that every association is being registered by the members. And when you get the GBA constitution, the members are the promoters, association managers, the stakeholder groups. So they have to, they can facilitate, they can get the forms for us to endorse those forms so that they can do the registration. But the issue of funds to make the payment is also something that they are saying that they don't have the funds. But we also said, okay, if that will be the basic thing that we need, maybe the stakeholder groups can advance some money for it to be done. as a loan so that when they finish, we can get it back. So it's something that we also discuss about. So basically, something that I believe if funds are released as quickly as possible, it can be done even by end of April. We could have the elections and everything. Because for us stakeholders, our position was to get things done simultaneously. Whilst they are working on other things, they can still have the subcommittee to handle the election issue. So even if they have up to June, by April, and then we should finish with the elections so that we can get a substantive GBA board, and then they can work hand in hand with them so that they can, it can be like some form of transition.
Yeah.
So that they can get them through things so that whatever they have worked for can be maintained and, you know, protected. So basically, that's what will happen.
Right. Hopefully, if there are any updates, I'm sure you bring us up to speed on that.
Yes, yes.
And I hope that the stakeholders would give the GBIMC some
Our problem is the NSA should be giving us timely information so that at least we all be at peace. So with the meeting on Tuesday, I think everything is cool.
Right, right. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex Ntiamwa. And Mr. Alex Ntiamwa is the CEO of Box Office Promotions, and he's also a member of the committee for professional boxing stakeholders. Yes, I got that right this time. Right?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ntiamwa, a big thank you to you for joining us on the show this morning, and we wish you all the best.
I wish.
Right. And so, committee for boxing stakeholders, they seem satisfied with the progress made so far. We'll see how things go between now and June as they seek to elect new members to steer the affairs of Ghana boxing. That will be happening later on between May and June.